Hi, this is a quick demo of the Internet of Things CloudOut and CloudIn widgets. These widgets send data here, the CloudOut, up to the cloud, and the CloudIn retrieves those values from the cloud back down. So you can see on the left here, I have an analog in widget connected to an Arduino with a knob attached. So that is sending the data from the Arduino up to the cloud every 2 seconds. Over here on the right, we're retrieving that data stream from the cloud also every 2 seconds. And so you can see that if I move the Arduino value up above 500, that is then retrieved over here in CloudIn and triggers the audio. Move it down, and as soon as they synchronize, the audio is stopped. Okay, so let's see how this works. So we're going to create a new document here, and we'll put an analog in on the stage. Name that input 0. And then we'll put a cloud out so we can send that feed from the Arduino up to the cloud. Okay, so let's have a look at the properties of CloudOut. You can see that there's API key, channel, and data feed. Those are the 3 important values we want to know about from the cloud service that we're using. Let me just show you, we support 3 cloud services: Sense, ThingSpeak, and COSM. We're going to use COSM today. So let me show you a little about those data services. Here's COSM. We also support Sense. This is Open.Sen.se. They're still in beta, but is a really interesting new service. And then also ThingSpeak. ThingSpeak is the service provided by the same people who make the I/O Bridge devices. Okay, so we're going to use COSM. Let me show you how to first create a device, or what we call a channel. So we'll call this something else because since we're using the toolkit, it could be anything. Right now it's going to be Arduino, but it could be anything. So we'll say next, and we'll call this, in fact, Arduino. We can give it some tags like knob and Arduino. Okay. We'll create the feed. And notice this ID here. This is important. We'll come back to that. This is the ID that we put in for the channel in the widget. Okay, but in order to make this work, we also need to add a data feed, or what COSM calls a data stream. So we'll click that, and we'll give it a name. We'll call it analog in 0. And there we have it. We've created it. Obviously, we haven't created any data yet. So the last thing we need to do is to create a key. This is like a password that you use for your accessing your feeds, whether writing or reading. So we'll go to keys here, and we'll say create key, and we'll just call this demo. We're going to give it all rights so that we can both read and write, as well as create and delete, and we'll say create. Okay, so we've created that key. I'm going to copy this from here and paste that into Flash here in the API key area. Let's go back and get our channel, which we've called Arduino, and that's here what they call feed ID. So we'll put that into channel. And then I'll just type in analog in 0. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Let's launch this. Okay, so it's going to connect to the Arduino, and there it is. And now let's go ahead and connect to the COSM service. And so what happens here is that it only sends values periodically. So by default, it sends it every 15 seconds. And because these are internet services, we wouldn't want to hit this super hard. So you can send it every 15 or 1 second or whatever. The different data services have limits on how frequently you can send or retrieve data from them. So let's adjust that, though, just to make this a little easier to watch. We can adjust that sample rate down to 2 seconds. So now it's going to send every 2 seconds. Before we move on, also, let's take a look at the feed type. So right now, we're just sending whatever the last value was when that 2 seconds is up. But we could take an average so that it would average all the values that were retrieved by the widget from the Arduino during that period, say the 2 seconds. But we're going to use last here. Okay, so again, you can see it counts down and then it fires. And if I move the value up, every 2 seconds it fires and sends that value up to the cloud. Okay, great. So that's all we need to do to send a feed. Let's do the same for retrieving a feed. So we'll use the CloudIn as our source. And I'm just going to use the sound control widget as our retrieval. So this will respond to values coming down from the cloud. So again, we go to the cloud, and we need to get our key, which I'll just grab from the CloudOut widget. Copy that. Go over here and paste it in. And then we know our data feed is called analog in 0. And again, we'll just go over here to the other widget and grab our channel number. Okay, there it is. Okay, we need to set the cloud service. We'll set that to COSM. And let's give this a name. We'll call it cloud feed. And then in our sound control, we'll want to listen to that. So that would be cloud feed. Great. Okay. And I'm just going to turn that volume down so we don't get overwhelmed by that. All right. So now let's go ahead and connect to the COSM service, and whatever the last value was 146. Let's go over here and launch this one as well. So now we have both running, and as I move the Arduino up and down, the knob up and down, you can see those values show up over here. So you can see that if I move it above 500, that it was retrieved over here, and now the sound starts. And again, if I move it down, the sound stops. So it doesn't happen immediately because it takes a couple seconds to send and a couple seconds to retrieve. So depending on how those match up, it may take a few seconds to respond. Again, the important thing to remember here is that we can be sending this value from anywhere in the world, say Los Angeles, and this value retrieved from anywhere in the world, say in London. So they're completely asynchronous, and feeds can be distributed and used anywhere in the world. All right, thanks for listening.